Welcome to MZBC, the podcast for February 5th, 2024, coming to you live from Mount Zion Activities and Recreation Center, high above the streets of Mount Zion Boulevard and Parkway, observing the new Mount Zion Plaza to our east. Such a beautiful...
Oh, yeah, because that's west, yeah.
If you look through, you see the downtown lights from Atlanta.
I'm over like, what downtown lights?
You can. Hey, if you ever drive down 138, like there's one spot, if you just quickly will look to your right when you're going, you see all the way downtown, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Only reason where Heather works, it's right in between there, and there's like where the power line goes through.
Oh.
If it's on a clear day and you just like will slow down to like 30 and just look that way, you can see the city. It's kind of
Really?
cool. I don't know how. I mean, it's what 17 miles away that way. But I was just trying to set the scene for where we were broadcasting from. I mean,
it was close enough.
Yeah,
You could see
the
it,
city
I'm
is
sure.
close enough. We should claim it. So
You know, some people will highly disagree.
They would.
I agree.
They were good. I would not claim Atlanta if I grew up in Jonesboro. I'd be like,
So, but
Really?
then you, but
Where
then
you
like,
say you're from when someone says
yeah,
where
where
you
you
from?
say you from?
when someone asks me where I'm from here, I say Jonesboro. But
Oh.
if
And
I'm
do,
like,
do they be like where?
well, I'll be like 15 minutes south of
There you
Atlanta.
go. See that defeats that.
You just simply
allows you
say
to
Atlanta from the
cut
Yeah, I
get-go.
know like
off
people
the
that claim Atlanta and they're like, where you really from? Stone Mountain or
Or
something like
Valdosta.
that.
Yeah. I
But
hear that a lot.
Soon, I think the perimeter will be all the way to like Macon. Like we're so close.
Or it's gonna be. I have a feeling it's gonna be like you got the real Atlanta, and then you got the mini Atlantas like Macon.
Yeah.
Who's another one? I think Valdosta is eventually gonna get there because everybody from
So far
Valdosta is
south.
always saying
It's like
though.
3.5 hours south of here.
I agree. I'm just saying, but
because,
I do think Macon's gonna be the next
Right
one.
now, if you go to Union or Locust Grove, right, people would say that's like the
Yeah,
Atlanta suburbs. Like you're still like in the.
which is so insane.
I mean, it's like right there, 20, and then so you leave from there to Macon, you're like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna get there.
I agree. I just feel like people should stop moving.
By that time, God is gonna call me to somewhere that doesn't have that many highways. I already know it. That's the prayer.
Like
By the
Maine,
time-
Utah.
Maine, Utah,
I mean, it's not gonna be a major city, or it's
Somewhere
gonna be,
somewhere
or
that-
it could be farther out from the heart.
Somewhere
of
there's a
Atlanta.
coastline.
There's a coastline here. Wow.
There is a coastline in Georgia. You're right, but somewhere there's a coastline with white sand,
Oh well.
or at least pretty
You
sand,
better go down to
and
Florida.
waves that.
go down to
So
Florida.
we were having a discussion before we jumped on about what are we even doing? Why do we even do this? Why do people like we're E-Man's out of stuff to talk about? He said he has nothing to talk about.
Whoa.
Sandy's like, this is why
Whoa.
people don't listen because we don't have like all these different topics. And what I'm trying to tell you too is like I told y'all that weeks ago that we don't travel enough or do enough to have enough stories.
That's true. Maybe
That
we
is
should take a
true.
field
So-
trip.
Maybe we should.
I mean, that's part of it, right? Where when you're doing, that's why I always am skeptical of people that do really cool things for God because you're like, every time I like
my regular regular everyday life.
it
is not
only
like that.
goes to like a certain level, like, and then you're talking about the same things. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting, but that is true though.
Yeah.
That like, it's only how many different ways can you peel a banana? I don't know how you say that saying, but there's like a saying like
How
that.
many ways?
One.
Well, actually,
apparently, I've heard
apparently,
we're doing it wrong.
we are. I think.
Wait. How do you open it?
I don't. Whoa. I open it from the longer end, but I think
Oh.
I think most primates open it the other way around.
And I don't know if that's true.
I
or
don't know if it's
not,
like
but
more efficient, but
would you verify that? Yes, that's true. Oh
I opened
man,
it
you
from
just
the-
feel like almost
Yeah.
saying yes.
The nub, the
The
tip.
nut.
So, like,
whatever it's
Wait,
called.
you do that?
Yeah.
so the bottom. Or
It's the bottom.
I mean, I can see.
I guess so, because
not
it
the
hangs.
long- yeah, it hangs.
Yeah.
So the bottom, you open it.
Yeah, I open from the bottom.
See, I
Okay,
go.
see?
I open it the other way around.
I do too. I
'Cause
think
that's the hand-
everybody.
that's the handle.
Most people.
But I wouldn't say most people. I would say most
Majority?
Americans.
Uh,
Sandy's taught me this in the last week that I got to stop thinking about things like just because I'm a privileged American. Valentine's Day. What are we talking about?
Saint
Do you think-
Valentine, right?
What?
Saint Valentine,
Well,
right?
yeah. But we were saying like how other groups that didn't grow up with like everything and came to the States for freedoms and liberties and all those things, buying someone chocolate and just giving it away was a waste of money. You know what I mean? So just people.
I get it.
So
Yeah.
it was
So
funny
you-
the other day. We were just talking about because I think the comment was, "Wow, that is very pink. Is it too girly Valentine looking, and I was like, well, everything I get on Valentine's Day is like pink,
or
right?
red, yeah.
And right, what you get? And she was like, wait, you get something for Valentine's Day? I'm like, doesn't everyone?
It's kind of expected. I'm glad you think. Share your view to them.
Because I don't care.
It's just another day.
And then it just brought up how different cultures think about not just Valentine's
just
Day,
holidays
in general, and celebrations and things we celebrate that are over the top, maybe sometimes.
Yeah,
but
I was actually having a conversation with a coworker who's Canadian. They're like, "Yeah, what is Thanksgiving?" I'm like, "That's not very American of you." And then I had to realize I didn't say that. But I'm like, yeah, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so it makes sense. I think they have like a day of. They don't call it Thanksgiving. It's like Day of Thanks or Day of Praise, I think.
Okay.
So same concept, but not Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But cultures are definitely different outside of America. It's quite.
You don't say.
I haven't been out of America, so I wouldn't know.
I've heard there's different cultures out there, huh, Emmanuel?
Hey,
yeah,
I'm sure there's a
and
lot.
Listen, and that's what I've also heard, that they have a lot more depth to their culture, like you know what I mean, like a lot of other
like meanings or
no, not meanings. I guess just like they've been around longer and have. Their buildings are cooler, and they're just more depth. Like they're.
That could just go from American when we were founded, though. We're not that old of a country.
That's my point. I think that's my point. So I'm saying, like other ones were, they're in a stat.
So don't be mad at us because we got a couple of years.
Okay, so let's fast forward 400 years, and you go back to the things that we've created 200 years ago. Are they that cool?
Probably not.
Okay, I mean that's like they're not as creative as like what we were just talking about the other day, like some of these European churches and castles and. When Heather and I were in Bosnia in the army, we would drive the Humvees, like escorting like this bus that went from town to town. And there were some beautiful like castles that were just like in the middle of nowhere. And, wherever I was, I could not point it out on a map, but it was beautiful. So places, Eastern Europe, places like that are so cool. And I just feel like there's more depth in some of those things. And they've been getting me about food in America lately and stuff. And so, like how lame it is. They just been
like food in. Like
not because they say everything you eat good is something that
somebody else's. That is true.
Someone brought here.
That is a good point. All right, you got us there. You got us there.
So but I don't know.
That's what makes America America.
And then they told me I wasn't allowed to claim like soul food, and we don't want to say why they said I wasn't allowed to claim it, but it was like that's not from you.
It's.
And I'm like, well, I don't know.
That's when you get a little. That's when you get a little touchy. It's
well, I don't know if it's touchy. I grew up in
from here. You're right. But
yeah. I mean, I grew up in southern lower Alabama where it was like soul food was.
Let's be honest, slavery's real, so soul food came from slavery. or I'm not gonna say came from, a part of it, or an idea, maybe an ideal of it came from.
You trying to say that my grandma can't just be a good cook without slavery?
Unfortunately, she probably can.
Where are we going?
In all honesty, was she using the scraps?
Have you ever
Probably
seen
not.
in Major League that movie? Like, you trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? You don't even know what that is. But
is that what
you definitely wouldn't know it because you're like, if it didn't happen before
live
you.
under a rock.
No.
Excuse me.
She doesn't live under a rock, but she lives under like a year rock.
A what?
A year.
A year?
There's like a year that you don't know anything past it. That year.
That's even worse. Like you're like you didn't get into the. For instance, like you're still in the 90s.
No,
but you're not in
the 90s. She never
90s.
Experienced them. Like
I mean, I didn't experience them. I just said it the other day. I was like, a lot of people were throwing like birthday parties that are like 90s theme, and I'm like, why would I throw a 90s theme birthday party? I didn't grow up in the 90s. I was just born in the 90s.
It's amazing.
I claim the 90s.
What year?
That's just me.
You claim you're a 90s kid.
Oh yeah.
What would that mean?
I was born in the 90s.
Yeah,
I was 2000s.
Easily.
Sorry,
easily.
Didn't make the cut. World's supposed to be over by 2020.
But do you even know anything of the 90s? Like, what went on?
Like, that's what I'm saying. If you said you're a 90s kid, what does that mean? Like
Tupac and them were around.
Tupac and them.
I mean, do I know all that happened in 1990? No, but
I would consider myself a 90s kid more than I would consider you a 90s
for sure.
kid.
Yeah.
But
see,
I would consider you a 2010-ish kid.
For growing up, yes.
And if we compare music and movies and anything from that era to my era, who wins?
Well, I like 90s era, so I
barely
win. Like my era.
So we win. So basically, what you said,
I like how you threw I win, but yeah, we
win together.
I love how you want to take that win. We win together. It's a collective win.
So, I mean, it does appear that there are times when we run out of things to talk about because this life. Solomon said that there's nothing new under the sun. So I feel like when you say something like that,
Kind of like, well, he's being completely honest.
I think I've told you this before, but that's kind of my issue I have with like going to the movies and those kind of things. I'm like, okay, I've already seen it. Like, okay, you're gonna make a little better graphics. You're gonna like maybe change like the girl
still the same.
barely
It's gonna be changed from a guy to a girl, so it's like.
but it's still gonna be like basically whatever it was, and so it's all right. I'll save my 2 hours for like wasting it on the golf course or wasting it playing pickleball or something. But yeah, and that it's not waste. Yeah, and to others, I guess, when movies aren't waste.
Yeah. So
Same. To each his own. To some aspect.
Yeah. So I get it.
But since we've gathered last time, what's new in your world? Anything like?
What's new?
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
Super Bowl's coming up. Y'all didn't like our football conversation when the last one ended.
Super Bowl let me down.
Did you have money on somebody?
No, it's
you
just
sound deflated.
I'm just over. It's not even about the Super Bowl anymore.
What's it about?
Taylor Swift. I just needed Lamar Jackson to do one job, and the one game they don't want to play, that game.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. So I won't be watching the Super Bowl. Long story short,
You're not gonna watch it? Like
I'm not
even
even gonna be in Georgia.
well, they show it nationwide. It's crazy. Like they even show it worldwide. you can watch.
I wasn't saying I'm not gonna have access to it, but no, I'm going to the Bahamas, so it's.
Oh, this guy.
What?
Okay, have an experience there.
Yes, and
like,
come back and share.
go there figuring out.
experience,
Okay,
like
God,
what?
why am I here?
Well,
Put somebody in my path.
No, they're
Yeah.
on the travel ban right now, like level 2.
I'm just saying, you're going there.
I'm going to church.
You're gonna be at a
In the
resort.
Bahamas?
No, we're going. So yeah, if you live out there, don't come looking for me. But no,
Yeah,
we're gonna be in. It's not a resort, so we're going to an actual neighborhood. It's my girlfriend's uncle's house that we're staying at. So that's why I'm like, I'm not just gonna be out here
that's
traveling
right.
the streets
Yeah.
of Bahamas. Hey, do you know Jesus? I pray you do.
Well, I don't think you have as much to fear as others that would be visiting.
I don't know. Well, that's what they say. They say it's a lot of gang stuff going on. So I would agree that I don't have anything to fear, but I'm already a cautious person. Why? If I don't meet them on the beach.
And I'm not telling you to go around and be. I'm not saying go be John the Baptist and be like, prepare the way for the Lord is coming. Don't go out there and get yourself abducted. I was just saying, like, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
When people go to the airport, when they're like in a cab, when they're doing this, something around them, God does something, then they come back and have an experience. I'm just saying, don't go there blind. Like, don't be like, I'm in the Bahamas, da 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 da. Like, just be like,
I'll go in.
that's all I'm
expecting
saying.
the experience.
There
God.
you go. Expectations, I think, is
I can agree.
the word.
But nothing new as far as exciting.
Sometimes nothing new is good.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, good. Sandy, what's new with you? Anything good, bad, indifferent?
Aren't you like a pickleball like champ or something?
Oh, not at all. I don't
Y'all
even-
didn't win?
I don't
It's
even
funny
play.
you say that. She doesn't even play.
Yeah.
Wait. Like 2 months ago, you were leaving here to go do pickleball, weren't you? Volleyball. Never mind.
Volleyball, yes.
so you-
but
never
we
mind.
were not champions.
And they were.
Oh, sorry, I bring up the
Let's
past.
say if you want to list champions and you just like look real close and look way down the list, you'll see.
Way down the list.
Yeah.
Like,
How many teams were in that league? 16.
I don't remember.
I think there was
It's a
as
past.
long as you're
It's already in the past.
You're not the last, right?
No comment.
Don't throw her off. She was about to talk and you called her a
I'm
pickleball
sorry.
champion. She's
I'm
not.
sorry. Carry on.
No, there's
She's an athlete.
nothing interesting.
She's an athlete.
You're an
though.
athlete. We'll take it.
I guess I am. But no, not much happened in my world.
Yeah, it's been pretty basic. Everything going on, I think. Life has just been life,
Yeah.
which is good at times.
Yeah.
For life to just be life and do what we do.
So
As-
no highs, no lows, just intermediate. Is that the
My
right
lows have all been physical, and I'm
You're
not,
going
and I'm
through
not
it.
mentioning them because it's just like no one wants to hear
we're
about it
praying
anymore.
for you,
But they're all, yeah, thank you. They're all physical. Every day I step up and say that I've improved, I get humbled back down to you have not improved. So
Well.
just a little struggle going on. So we've been going through First Peter, and I said on Sunday, but I think that the most that I've seen out of First Peter, what he's been showing me the most is this idea of purity. And then Sundays was that scripture that I was studying and preaching on of submission to authority and things like that was another thing. Like, so there's purity that Jesus makes you pure, and then being able to be used for all that He wants to use you for has to do with your submission, because then it makes you continuing to do a podcast or continuing to preach or continuing to have open gyms when it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that you're right. Because I think when you start thinking of the expectations that you, like you said, you expect from others, we're gonna be let down. Long story short, every time we're gonna be let down. But I think if we go into it with I'm not doing this because I do love you, Russell, but I'm not doing it solely because I love you, Russell. I'm doing it because I love Jesus Christ. I love a God who saved me, who I'm not worthy, and I feel like somebody out there can hear that. I think that's something we as humans got to be like, I don't feel like doing it today, but man, God loves you. So we laugh at it, but I think that's something we all face every day, and maybe not a podcast. I think for most it's work or for whatever job it may be, but I think having that mindset of we're not doing it for human satisfaction. It's more so for Christ.
Were you about to say something? Because I think that is what trips people up when they step in and like want to be a part of something new, like religion, Christianity, whatever. You come from like, I'm not sure if I believe that, or I don't even have anything to do with that. And you get around us and you're like, oh, okay. They're like normal people. Like they're not kind of crazy, like beating me down with this Jesus stuff and hitting me with their Bibles, like telling me I have to get saved or I'm going to go to hell. They're just like living their life, showing me that I have to get saved or I'm going to go to hell. Yeah. And so, but then when you start doing it and it becomes this, like, what are we going to say?
Routine almost.
I don't even know. This is what it is. And you start looking around going like, whoa, this is what it is. Some people get bogged down on that. And some people walk away right in that moment because they're waiting for some type of experience. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm not y'all's age. So emotions, experiences help me with that. I feel like in your age group, maybe about your age group down like to about 10 years younger, like emotions are huge.
For sure.
Right. In my age group, it was like if you had emotions,
weak.
You're weak. Like, weak. You've heard the term like rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. Rub some. It's usually with little boys, but you rub some dirt on it. Absolutely, little boys. Yeah, and it's fine. Like, don't even worry about it. You'll be suck it up. You're good. And I don't necessarily know that was like taught to me that like little boys don't feel that. Yeah. It was just like that's what you understood. Yeah. And so, but there's a whole nother generation that has taken it the other way, and so that's kind of some of the people we're trying to reach. I would say to late 30s to mid 20s. There's a lot of I feel in a lot of things. Agree or disagree? Completely. I think a lot of
you're making a face like you're not so sure. Do you?
You don't think so?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's who you hang out with. You're only around only around that age group.
I don't know. I mean, I know I feel like
do you feel like you're like in more emotionally in tune with?
I think I would say yes, but I think that was only because I'm a girl. Like, no offense to boys, but I feel like we have way more emotions and. I
would beg to differ because have you ever seen us crying?
Have you seen some of these drama kings?
Well, I was going to use myself as an example. Man, you're attacking other people. I was just saying.
Hey, I got my own issues.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, I guess, yes.
Maybe. So maybe. I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's just a perception I have. Maybe it's not really happening. There's just, I guess I struggle with, I do struggle with that because sometimes I do just suck it up. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what I feel about it. And so when I hear people say, well, I feel this way and I'll serve if this or that, I'm like, well, Jesus does not care or like how you feel about it or and so that's just growth, I guess, is what it is. And so I've been trying to, I guess that's what God's had on my heart a lot lately. The word authenticity has been popping up. I don't know why. Authentic a lot in our conversations. We met just a couple of days ago, and that word kept popping up. People want people to be authentic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk to somebody, you want somebody to keep it real. I think keep it 100 is what is going around. Like, or now on social media, stand on business. If you're gonna say it, mean it.
Yeah.
Don't just. I'm gonna go clean your car and 4 weeks later, your car's a mess. I never touched it. like, wow, you're not very authentic.
Yeah, and even more, I think, even more than like physical means, like I'm gonna do this for you or that for you. It's like I'm authentic and just like, do I actually care about you?
Yeah.
Like, hey, how are you? I'm good, and move on. that happens every day, all day. It's just the weirdest thing to me. Even around people I know that are believers and are like want more than that. In settings, they will just do that, and it's just so instinctively like in us, like, "Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good," and dap it up and move on. And I'm like, "You're not. We just talked."
You didn't
like,
even explain if you're really what is good.
like the other day, I know what you were talking about, and
Yeah.
that guy's like somebody that you could probably like confide. You're not good, bro. Like,
You're probably not so good.
So growing in that regard,
Yeah.
because I think that's where I'm at. We have a lot of God is doing like in the last 3 weeks, God has added to our numbers, like physically added to our numbers, which is amazing. 2 families, well, 1 family and another person, and He's bringing people that have questions about the gospel and different things, and so that's what I'm trying to let not happen. Is that excitement get curtailed by there's not a lot happening?
Right.
Like it's just kind of slow. It's kind of it is what
routine,
it kind of is, and you just kind of live the life and begin to be around people, and then it like just then all of a sudden you're living life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You guys said you had nothing to talk about, so I'm gonna let you talk about
agree.
nothing.
I agree with that. I think, like you said, we get in such a routine: go to work, get up, go eat, take care of kids, come back, go to work, go up, all that, and it same applies in our Christian walk. Sometimes go to church or go to life studies. May go to Sunday school, you name it. Do this, that, and third. For it, I'm going to go talk to Mount Zion High School. So it's like, oh, I got something to do for God every day. So it's when it's like, oh, to Monday, just a podcast, no topic, but it's still the routine. I think we just got to find the excitement in the routine, and that I know for me, it's hard for me to get excited on a Monday when I got to go to work. It just is. So I know when you're in a routine of. For you, it's hard for you to get excited sometimes to go talk to high school kids who probably don't want to hear you. It's your routine, but you got to do it because you love God. Mm-hmm. So I think once we get, okay, this is my routine, but I'm excited because I'm doing the routine that I love and I'm doing it for God. I think that's when it's like, oh, it's not just a routine. I do the same thing every week, but a month from now, my same thing has changed so many different lives or so many different situations or so many different mindsets, not necessarily right away. And I think I know I do. I want to see the fruits of my labor immediately. And if I don't see it, it's like, well, back to the drawing board, time to change. And that's not always the case. I think God is like, hey, stick here a little bit. Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes like our consistency is like someone else's beginning.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, okay, they're going to be around and things like that.
I definitely agree because I know just from sports.
What do you think the male female? Why is it different? Like, why are y'all so much like? I'm not gonna say better, but like, why do you think girls are like? I was hanging out with a whole group of guys yesterday, and we were talking about being intentional about hanging out because we're not. No. We just do our thing, and then we'll connect at church, and yet we're really friends. Like we really
never miss a beat.
Really do care about each other and all that. But I'm not gonna don't do a lot of hanging out like that's like planned. But we were like, but all the girls do. Like they do this and they do that.
Go out to nails, get dinner, go to teas.
I don't know. Just
why are y'all better at it?
Just in y'all's DNA.
I guess so.
How God made y'all.
Probably. I mean, I feel like
that.
I don't know. I can't speak for all women here, so.
But you could.
You kind of have to. I mean, you got to start.
Well, a minute ago you wouldn't speak for all like 30 to 28-year-olds. Or
because I can't. I can only speak for myself. So that's why I struggle answering questions sometimes.
No.
Because
I won't hold you to it. Don't say what Sandy.
We're not gonna hold it.
We're just. We care
I'm just curious.
More emotionally, and like men tend to be more just surface, where women kind of like we care about how you say things or the way you say things. Like guys will just say stuff and then we'll be like, but you said that kind of like not very nicely. And I don't know, right?
Yeah, no,
Y'all notice when your wives or your girlfriends be like, why did you say that so mean?
All they did was say I'm sorry.
I don't know. I feel like that's just
you,
it's that innate like motherly instinct
No, I
or
get it.
thing. I don't know how to explain it. That's just the way the Lord made us, I guess. But
So are you saying? Well, you're not saying this, but I feel like maybe insinuating girls care more or genuinely care more as opposed to guys.
I mean,
you can say yes. I mean, we just said we do care, but it's not always shown. So,
but in a different way. Like, I'm not saying guys don't care, but it's just like we care about more of like the little things, the details.
Yeah,
Facts.
That makes sense.
I mean, I agree with that. I think we are very surface level. For instance, I'll go play golf with Vance, and we'll play golf for 4.5 hours, and we'll go home, and Heather will be like, "How's Vance doing?" And I'll be like,
"He's good.
He's good." Like, what are they up to?
But to you, he's good.
He shot a 79.
There you go.
He like topped the ball on number 7. Like, I don't know anything else. Like,
I did that the other day. I asked Nara. I was like, not gonna name names, but like I asked him about a certain friend, and I was like, "Do you think that he's like maybe depressed or something?" And then Nara was just like, "What are you talking about?" Because it's like
he's not even on that same wave. Depressed.
Yeah, but then like once he sat and thought about what I was saying, and he was like, "Oh,
maybe he's depressed.
Maybe he is." But it's like y'all don't pay attention to those types of things. You just like, "You good, bro?" "Yeah, I'm good, bro."
Walking away.
And I don't know.
I'm terrible with follow-up questions. Like, you'll tell me something happened.
Really? Tell me how.
Yeah, that's right. You'll tell me something happened. I'm like, "Oh, okay," and we'll move on. And then I'll go tell Sean or Heather, and I'll say, "This happened to Emmanuel," and they're like, "Oh well, what did da 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 da?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna ask him that. I just got the main thing.
I got. You got the A through Z.
Why do y'all think y'all are like that?
Personally, like you said,
well,
I think men are like that because, don't get me wrong, a lot of good in the details, but a lot of time is spent in the details.
Well,
when in fact at least me, I'm cool with the in between, but.
He's speaking as like a young man.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not speaking from a
as a young man. I'm
perspective.
speaking as someone that's going to be married 25 years in July. The details are like everything.
Right.
Like,
young.
And they make like life so
22.
easy, and we just follow it. You learn to march in line and just follow everything. So I've been blessed with a wife that doesn't act like that or make me march in line. So it's been cool, and she handles all the details. And so
that's even better.
Just how God made you. I think, Sandy, to answer your question, why are we like that? For me, I just think I am way more prideful than I like to admit. I know this is a thing with me. I know that I already have expectations of the way you should respond in situations. I say you, but I say mainly towards Heather and close people, like real close to me. How you should respond in a situation. Like, I know you so well. You should respond this way. And then when you don't, whoa, it's like, wait, either like you don't like.
So you're like, I can't be wrong.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not wrong. We'll start from that position. Nah, but that's either like, okay, what, you don't like care that much or whatever. Like, why didn't you respond this way? And then that's why I think sometimes I'm just as emotional as a girl. But then other times I just think I don't think it through, and I don't know. But we're definitely built different, and God like designed us to be that way. And it's just interesting to watch, because in His church, I guess what I'm speaking from the perspective of God's church. And other churches I see around everywhere, women just make it happen. Like, there's just so many women making it happen. And there's a whole guy thing that just doesn't happen in a lot of places. The guys the other day we were talking to were more younger guys, and they were like, well, what do like the men's group here do? And I'm like, bro,
nothing.
Like, no, we don't have like the person to gather them together.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a person to bring them together. So
the person
what y'all are doing is like more than that. So it's crucial though, because it's like, that's what, I guess all of this is like what adds to that doing life together, where it doesn't seem mundane. It's just like what we are doing. But when it's just hard because we're so in this area, like we started the thing by saying it's so big. Yeah. We're so everywhere. I mean, from you to Sandy, where you guys live is probably 25 minutes. Like from where you live over here, and then where Ruth lives that's an hour. Yeah, so I mean, it's just like we're so far away. We're not going to connect for dinner. Like, we're going to meet in the middle.
Let's meet in the middle.
That becomes the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'll see you Sunday.
Right.
And so then if something comes up and you're not in here Sunday, or you're in the Bahamas, or you're in Puerto Rico, or you're at another island, whatever. You know, you travel to islands apparently.
Hey,
and people are gonna be like, "Who's he, man?" You know,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
that's what I'm
for
saying.
sure,
That's
yeah.
how it happens. So
no, I get it.
we always got to be on it, like constantly doing that thing of being together. And you're right. On the days where I have nothing to say, yeah, I have nothing to say, and it's just like keep how Jesus work in your life this week,
Yeah.
because he has worked. Like Jesus has done some really cool things this week,
Yeah.
and so it's like
I was just gonna say, I think if we were in youth, I think you asked, hey, what has Jesus done in your life this week? And most youth groups, nobody's saying nothing.
Right.
But it's like, I think you went back and said, so Jesus ain't do nothing for y'all all week. And I think we're on Wednesday. I'm like, well, when you put it like that.
yeah.
So I do agree. It's kind of like you got to simplify it. It's like, well, Jesus woke me up this morning. Jesus got me here, home, work, and back safe. And I think I often tell my friends the biggest blessing that we just over the head is leaving the house and coming home. And we don't ever thank God for it. But what did Jesus do for you? He got me home. And I think that's when you start to bring it back down to back to the fork, like Andy described. It's like, oh, Jesus did work today, this week. He's working now. So I think that's could be encouraging, especially from a perspective like a young Christian looking at Russell. He's in his routine, but Jesus is still working in his routine, even though it may not be like fireworks and drums going off. It's still God is working. So that's just food for thought.
Yes.
That's great. That's awesome.
I was trying to think about in that whole thing there. Sometimes, obviously, if we're not aware of what Jesus is doing, then we think it's mundane and boring. But if we are in tune with what he is doing, then the more he begins to do, I guess,
Yeah.
and then it becomes like something different. For instance, last week I was telling them already, and you were in church on Sunday, so you probably heard. I started to say it, and then I totally changed subject and never got to it. We were doing like, I won't say an altar call, but an invitation at FCA for one of the very first times ever. Just because when you're in that situation, I don't ever want to be the guy that's like super pastor, religious guy that every time they gotta like, well, this many people were saved,
7 people, yeah,
and this many people rededicated their life, and it's always
like,
that
always
in
got
those
7 people
some
saved.
circles. That is what it is,
Yeah.
and so I know that God is doing things, and ever since one of our church members one night reminded me that I don't know what God's doing, that he could be saving people all the time, that I can't get frustrated when I don't get to baptize them. Like, just trust God. Okay, I did. So this year I waited to the very, I guess, almost the end, and I just did like if any time this year we've been in FCA and God has spoke to you and you've understood your sinfulness and understood Jesus as Lord and Savior, then raise your hand type thing with your eyes closed. And so we came back with a picture and a list of 17 kids, which is no small number, right?
Right.
If 17, I was telling the coach today when I talked to her on the phone, if 17 kids were signing Division I A scholarships, they would have the news crew
party.
there.
Yeah.
There would be like a whole thing happening.
Yeah.
Mountain Zion High School had
They're
17
going on the
kids
news for sure.
sign college scholarships.
Yeah.
It'd be a thing.
Yeah.
17 kids get born again, and it's just like we got to make sure we
Rest them,
celebrate
yeah.
that and remember it. And so she sent me a list today. We're going to meet this week, hopefully. And I don't know if that means 1 or 2 or 16 get baptized, right? I have no idea. And it could possibly mean that 0 actually come to Mount Zion Baptist Church, but that's not the point.
Right.
It's like those are 17 opportunities for families and all that to hear the gospel and to do it. And so those little type things are like, if I was just going there and being, so that Wednesday, guess how I woke up? I didn't want to go. I always wake up that way. It's so early. It's just so early. And you got to be on right when you get there. You know what I mean? And it's just you got to go early because you have to get breakfast. And I'm not complaining because the breakfast is free and, I'm just going to pick it up. And who am I to complain? But it's like, still, that's human. And you're like, oh, here I go. But I'm going. Like and I went and did it. And then God does that. And so you're like, man, that is the reason why. Like, I'll do it over and over if that will be the
that's the outcome. Yeah.
For the results that I've been looking for many months in the past, and it's been nothing. Like, is anyone, like you said, maybe they don't even want to listen. Apparently someone was listening and like they understand. Like so it's like, okay, start there. I told maybe it was church, maybe it was a different meeting, but I said maybe it was Wednesday night. I like trying to catch kids like at your age when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
And I probably told y'all that then. It's like, because you can't fix adults. Like, it's like you need to
start building them when they're already still.
Your foundation is just so much stronger. And I mean, for you and for Star, for my daughter, for my son, for everyone that's been close to me like that, I've watched it from afar and some up close. Your lives are better than the other people's that aren't. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, not because you're any better or anything, but it's just because you understand that and have surrendered something to God in order for him to establish you to where you are. And so you can definitely see a difference. And it's like getting people to see that difference is super hard.
Definitely agree with that.
So
I think we just got to be okay with the little wins as Christians. And
that's what I'm learning.
That's the hard part. I think it's like, God, you're this big God, and you want to keep throwing these little wins. Where's the Super Bowl, man? And
I'm wondering, like someone like Mike used to say, like, are we ready for that though? Right. He's like, if so, you always want to say it's like if 3,000 people Peter preached and 3,000 people were added to their number in that day. He's like, ready? But do you want that? Because with those 3,000 people are 3,000 problems and their families and this and that and whatever. He's like, so maybe God's telling us that we're not ready for that. That right. If he did do something like. And that's what I keep trying to, and it's a fact that we're not. And I only say that because Sunday morning, and like Sandy said, no names because they definitely wouldn't listen to a podcast, but someone came to me with literal tears in their eyes because someone had made the comment in a life group that if we allowed people to come on campus for open gym, that they were going to tear up our property and tear up the buildings and blah, 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 blah. And this person was literally crying saying, but isn't that the point? Like they come onto our property, maybe one of them gets saved and like, okay, a light gets broke or a wall gets dinged. Who cares? And I'm like,
at least we saved one.
I said, yes, your tears are, we're together.
Yeah.
Whoever said that, pray for them. Like that just doesn't make sense. So, but that is it. Like, that's going to be ugly and things are going to get broke and feelings are going to get hurt. And someone's going to say, well, I don't believe that. And you're going to be like, well, feel some type of way. And then, but you just keep going.
You're going to have that human emotion that's just going to be present, I think. I've never had that feeling, but I can sympathize.
Yeah,
I can definitely understand where it's like, but then you got to be the other side. It's like, but this is what we're doing it for. That one. we broke 16,000 bulbs. Who cares? We saved the one. And we laugh, but it's like that's what it's for.
We've done open gym now it's 2024 now. I'm gonna say.
Since we had this gym.
Yeah, and it was like Davis Reynolds' idea to like that. He was like Pastor, Dad, it was Pastor Chris at the time. Why don't we do this? And we're like, oh, why don't we do that? Yeah. So we just did it. I'm going to say 10 years ago, like 2014, 12. So you know how many open gyms we've had? You know how many people have been through these basketball courts and volleyball courts and in these doors and under substances and smelling like things. And guess how many things have ever gotten broke or happened? One fight. I mean, I'm like,
that is true. That's a very valid point.
God is all in the midst of every bit happening because he's never let anything happen. Yeah. And so this person that said that, I'm like, first of all,
you've never been. Because what's funny, you've been. It's like when you get on the basketball court, we all know how sports are played.
Yes.
The minute Pastor Chris used to play. Oh, sorry, Pastor, my bad. I apologize.
I'm telling you,
we get it. And I just feel like when you as the church are genuinely loving these outside people, the respect factor automatically shows. It's like, they know what sin is. I can't say these words. I'm not supposed to say these words.
And that's where
they catch themselves. Oh, I apologize.
That's where the conversation stemmed from because we were trying to establish that relationship that we used to have to where there were people that were over the age of 70 here hanging out with dudes that were 20-something-year-olds, like definitely in the streets, definitely living that life.
For sure.
And they were like, you're like my grandma. Like they loved her. Like they would hang out with her and they text probably still to this day with her. And so, it can happen and it is good. And so we were trying to go reestablish that connection and someone voiced that opinion. So it's just interesting. That's not the majority. Everyone else, like most people were in, but my point to that being, there's still that thought out there.
Yeah.
And so when there's that thought out there, we are not being all that God wants us to be, or will we ever see like all God could be doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like he could be doing such a cool thing through and in, but as long as we have the mentality of, our stuff may get broke, or our light bill may be more anymore. Or, ooh, can you imagine all the paper towels they're going to use? Yeah.
Want to make gas? Watch
Yeah.
this. No one will use it. And then it's like, ooh, we don't have anybody in this big old gym. So yeah, I mean,
So it's a thing.
yeah.
But God is working through it, and we're getting reconnected to those kind of things. So it's cool to watch and what God is doing, because He's definitely doing things with the kids at Mount Zion, with kids here. I say kids, but like 20-something-year-olds that are new to the faith and like asking good questions. Even we met with some people last week that were, I would say, my age, middle age or whatever, wanting to be parts of Mount Zion. So it's just like He's doing stuff, and you're just like, we keep rocking. And so, y'all want to read the scripture that we've mentioned? It's for this upcoming week. They were giving me a hard time. It's Monday, and they were like, "You don't know what you're preaching on Sunday." Well, I don't want to call it.
Your fellow co-host was like, "So you don't know what you're preaching on Sunday?"
And the only reason she does, probably because she was probably playing worship today, so she like read over the topic like a lot.
Exactly.
Makes it seem like I'm just
paper.
like, yeah. So what is my normal regimen? Mondays I do like, so I planned. This is like 12-week series, probably 6 weeks ago, and so as I'm planning it, I read through the whole book and. Like, okay, I'm gonna stop here. But you start, and then 4 weeks later, I don't know what's coming up in week 6. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember. I didn't memorize the whole book of First Peter. I just like knew the gist of it, and so I typically start Monday morning, and I will read every bit of what I'm what I have. So we're on 2, whatever you said, or 3, 1 through 7. I would go 1 all the way to there, and just read the whole thing and kind of get back into the what was the whole thing leading to, and then kind of just chill right there. And then just throughout the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, study, read this, that. Thursday, put it all down on paper.
So technically it takes you like 4 days to write a sermon.
I mean, because I feel like I spend a lot of time praying through it and reading. I never read other people's sermons on the same topic. I said that last week. Like, I'm scared of myself. Yeah. I'm scared that it'll subconsciously creep in.
It's like,
and I'll be like, that wasn't even something I said. I hope they don't like it, because it's not even my thing.
Not even me. Yeah.
So I try not to read other people's exact sermons. I do read commentaries, like on just what was the context here, what were they saying? Like, I know what I have heard it preached as or whatever, but is that really like what it is? And then I always try to take it to personal, Russell personal, but yes, Mount Zion personal. Like, if I'm going to get up there and preach and put all of I have into it and first of all, walk away feeling like ill-equipped, and that wasn't enough every week, no matter how good I did or didn't do. Right. If I'm going to get up there and do that to myself, then I'm going to do something I feel like is like going to affect Sandy.
Like,
if
I'm going to feel like this, I'm going to at least make sure I say something about you.
I don't want to just throw something out there and hopefully it sticks to something. I want to be like, I feel like God is telling us this. Makes sense. And I hope that, I pray that that's where God's will is leading me and I'm on the right track and stuff, because there's some days where I do say things that I feel like, man, this is going to connect, and it doesn't. And there are other days where I feel like this is not going to connect to anything, and it's like some of the times that it does. So I don't know it. Basically, I don't know a thing, and I just keep following Jesus.
Yeah, that's the blueprint.
And Sandy just keeps singing songs, and we just keep
there you go. Hey,
seeing what happens.
It's a perfect duo.
But this goes into the submission. It's in 1 Peter chapter 3. So what I am preaching is, it was right in the middle of Sandy. We were laughing because it's like it was praise God for glory. We're holy. We're called to a holiness. We're stones being built up. And then this week we talked about we're called to do all these things, being good, that Jesus died for us. And then boom, right in the middle, here's how you have a good relationship. And then it goes back to other stuff that do not do evil and different things. So I don't know where Peter was at when he stopped to write this, but for some reason right here in chapter 3 he got onto relationships, and it goes to what we read in the Gospels at times also, so they kind of correlate. I'll read it. It says, wives, in the same way, submit to your own husbands, so that even some disobey the Christian message, they may be won over without a message by the way their wives live, when you observe your pure, reverent life. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on wives right there. Yeah. It's like your husband may be maybe he's like a scoundrel, maybe.
But you,
and you might not even a message is you got to be so holy that he's going to change for that. I'd love to see that. That'd be amazing. It says your beauty should not consist of outward things like elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold ornaments or fine clothes. Instead, it should consist of the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very valuable in God's eyes. For in the past, the holy women who hoped in God also beautified themselves in this way, submitting to their own husbands, just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. You have become children when you do good and aren't frightened by anything alarming. Husbands, in the same way, says, live with your wives with understanding of their weaker nature, yet showing them honor as co-heirs of the grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered. So, what's that say about relationships, Sandy? It sounded to me like that girls got a lot of responsibilities.
She's like the men just got one verse. Girls got a lot. But no, I find that funny because people often make that. Well, the Bible don't ever tell the husband what to do. I was like, keep on reading.
Yeah.
No.
It is a I do. That does. I haven't read over all this yet today, so I'm just reading it for the first time. But it is interesting, though, that. So what's in this? So purity. You may win over them with the way you live your life, your pure, reverent lives. The beauty thing. I mean, I think we would agree with that. That's not where you get your beauty from.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all would say that. Yeah, but that's what it's speaking of. And then I think there's an assumption here that I think that guys of our time need to learn, that they just can't assume. Husbands, in the same way, live with your wives and understanding their weaker nature, yet showing them honor. Understanding their weaker nature, but not considering them weaker, and showing them honor. I don't think guys in general just know how to do that.
I think that's why. Makes sense. Sorry to cut you off. I think that's why it's one verse. We don't pay attention to the detail. It's just breaking it down.
God knew, I got to give them something real simple.
Real quick and simple. They can't, one verse. So, sorry to cut
if
you
I
off,
tell them 6 things, you have to do
it. Because
that's why y'all were wired that way.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We got 6 verses.
Hey, there's one thing just one thing. So, I find that quite.
And in the other scripture says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, right? Yeah. In Ephesians, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And so I think in every one of those things, there's an understanding that guys are, these guys that they're speaking of are to be seeking after the Lord. For men to be the guy that we are created to be and see God do all the things that he wants to do in us, this is the guy we have to be. Mm-hmm. And so when we don't experience that, or our relationships are not what we want them to be, then that is the question we have to go back to. Right. Am I loving my spouse as Christ loved the church? How did he love the church? Unconditionally, without anything in expectation, in return, he just did it, didn't expect anything. So that's, and then back to why don't we experience God in his fullness? It's the same thing in our relationships. And I think that's what what we're experiencing in some of our groups, in that relationship within the group, understanding the quality of loving one another and what am I trying to say? Honoring one another, speaking up in love when someone irks you, or in the moment. Don't let it linger for even a day or two, because then it becomes awkward. Because if I love you enough and I say, hey, look, you're driving me nuts with this, blah, 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 blah. You'll be like, oh, I didn't even realize it. You're not going to hate me for it. You're not going to get mad at me. But if I let it go for 3 days and I tell her about it, and I tell her about it, Eman does this, Emmanuel does that. And then 4 days later, I go, I've told.
Really irks my nerves.
Yeah. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, he did tell us about that. And you're going to be like, wait, you told everybody.
Everybody in the room knew but me. Yeah.
All that's in this love thing, and it's submission and surrender and selflessness. And so selflessness, though, is a super hard thing to sell in the world. And so
in a selfish world, yeah.
I'm selfish, so I know how hard it is to sell.
Yeah,
I just said I'm prideful and I'm selfish, so I know how hard it is to sell, because I'm the seller of something that I don't know that I would always buy if you were trying to sell it to me.
Exactly, yeah. That's a good way to put it. That's a very good analogy right there.
What do you feel as the wife in the situation, Sandy? Pressure, or man, we got it going on and you guys just are...
I like this part of scripture. It's like the way I see it is like, especially like, it's like actions speak louder than your words, and it's talking about how like how you go about living your life and the conduct of how you do and like stuff like that is what people are going to see. So I always remind Nara of this. I'm like, me as your wife, you as my husband, you're a representation of me, I'm a representation of you. If I go out there and am rude to like a server or like mean to somebody random on the street, what does that say about you? And vice versa. I always tell him like, hey, when you go about your day, how you conduct yourself, you're going to reflect me. So like in our relationship, I want to see like, I mean, you're supposed to be a reflection of Jesus. So if you spend enough time with the Lord and like know him very well, you yourself will reflect Jesus throughout everywhere you go.
Right.
And so when they see that, then they also know me, like without knowing me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's a pretty cool verse. I mean, all y'all guys have to do is just understand that.
Simple it down for us.
Because I mean, you'll bring, like it says, you'll bring honor to us by just in the way that
It's just
you love
it's
us.
understand that you're weaker, basically, and we need to honor you as co-heirs in grace.
Yeah, and it's like
we have the easiest as men. We have the easiest part, but we're like, that's so hard.
Sometimes
the easiest things are the hardest.
Right.
And it's like true. The old me would have been like, they just called me weak. What? But like to me, it's like that's just how it's supposed to be. Like we are created that way. Like the women are under the men, and it's not in a sense of like strength or like dumb. I'm dumber than him because I'm a woman. It's more of just like protect she's precious, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like precious things, you know, you think it's weak, but it's not. It's like glass is easily broken, but it's like if you don't protect it, then it's gonna break, right? I don't know where I'm going with that analogy,
I know where you're going
but
with that one.
You know what I mean?
I got where you were trying to telepathy. I think I got.
I was there.
I didn't know what the glass was for. I'm like, maybe diamonds. She's referring.
I thought she was bringing out diamonds.
I didn't want to bring out diamonds.
But
you're right, though. I get the gist of it. It's precious. It is to be protected. If you don't protect it, it could be damaged and messed up. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the way it ends, though, it says, so that your prayers will not be hindered. We were talking about that one night in Bible study. Like what the question we emailed was, does God hear the prayers of non-believers? Right? And I was like, well, surely. Because at one point, I was a non-believer.
Right.
And I was crying out to God and for whatever in my life at that moment, and He made me feel some type of way through His Holy Spirit, whatever He does. So, in some aspect,
that's a good
yes.
question.
In some aspect, yes. I don't know how to study more to figure that answer out. But there's other parts in Scriptures that say that if there's unhidden sin in your life, well, not unhidden, but if there's hidden sin in your life, then your prayers could be affected. And so I think that's another one. As a man, as the leader of your household, if you are not protecting that precious jewel that is your spouse, that is obviously 6 verses better than you are. I mean, then your prayers are going to be hindered. And what happens in that? Okay, God doesn't hear your prayers. Okay, you start to become antsy, and things aren't answered. Your anger, your emotions get stirred up, and then relationships, when anger and emotions get stirred up, there's stuff happening, and it could be not even to the extent of arguing and crying out and all of this. In my home, it just becomes like quietness, or like I sense there's something here. What it goes on, thou, like stuff like that. And so it happens, but then and that's it. And so there's like yes, your prayers are hindered, but it begins this domino effect of the spiritual thing in your life to where that's one example, but it's just like if you're not loving your wife like Christ loved the church and not submitted to His authority as you lead your family, then all these things are going to be hindrances to you and make it seem as though it's hard. And the whole time, my life is not easy, but man, probably leaps and bounds easier than if I were just out there trying to hold it onto my own two shoulders. And
For sure.
I'm so thankful that I don't honestly have never experienced that in several years trying to maintain on my own. I don't even know what I would do if like all of a sudden I was out of the presence of God and he was, and I don't even know how I would handle that. Cause now all of my stuff, like everything, I'm not perfect, but I'm just saying the majority of things I handle, I'm just like, God, you have to do it because I don't have it. Like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin planning a sermon series. I don't know where to begin starting a staff meeting, even
Leading
simple things,
church.
man. It's just like people just assume that, like, didn't they teach you how to do it?
Wait, you didn't mean to tell me they didn't teach you how to be the pastor?
We went to a housewarming thing the other night, which was really cool and awesome. And he was partially joking, but he wasn't. He's like, didn't they teach you in seminary how to do like a little thing here? And I was like, no.
What do you expect?
Yeah, I was like, no, what do you mean? He's like, just praying over the home, blessing this, blessing that. I was like, look, I can do that, but that was like not a class. Like,
I think that's a
Home Blessings 101.
Right.
So,
it's a whole book.
So, but my life, I'm not like always walking around like Pastor Russell like that, but for the majority of things in my life, they are submitted to God and like, God, you work them out because I really just don't know it. And to this moment, God has just been uber faithful, and it just blows my mind. And so I'm super excited to see what he's going to do through those kids at Mount Zion High School, what he's going to do through a couple of other things we have going connected to people, and to see where it goes. We just been putting our foot in the water for like a pickleball tournament just to raise money for something else. But through that, I spoke to one of our friends last night that does his own pickleball thing. No free promo, so I won't say his name right now, but if he wants to pay, we'll throw him on here. But we were talking about things bigger than that pickleball tournament. Like, what if this gym was like your home gym and you sponsored pickleball tournaments here with your brand? And I don't know, who knows what God's opening up for the community. Yeah. But through that conversation, he was like, oh, well, I'll donate this for y'all's tournament and y'all can give it away, do a raffle, raise more money. So, it's just those types of things. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to lead that or what that's doing. And, we're just trying to do our best. Like, we just love Jesus. And
that is our number one job.
Yeah. And so we just try to do that. And whatever that looks like, trust that it's having an effect. And it is. And so we just keep rocking it. So, submission, bro. That's what I'm telling you. It's everything 1 Peter. I didn't know. Because when you study 1 Peter, the gist of 1 Peter is that the resurrection of Jesus from the dead is real. That's like the thing. But man, these first 3 chapters, now even after reading that, I just hear surrender over and over and over. Like, it's just like surrender. Just give it to him, surrender it to him, and it leads to grace. Although you go through various trials, he said, it leads to grace and praise and all these things and joy. And then he's like, you're to be holy, and the only way to be holy is to surrender. Okay. Okay, then you're to be a living stone, and if I'm going to build your foundation up, then you got to surrender. Okay.
You must surrender in order to be that stone.
Everything's surrender.
In order to get to this, you got to surrender.
And I guess we're talking about guys and girls today for some reason, but as guys, surrender is always looked upon as weak. At least I perceive it that way. So I think that's part of the battle when you're trying to win a guy to the Lord. They see it as like a weakness.
I'm not waving the white flag. What do I look like?
I got this, or I don't want you to think I'm weak and have to admit that I've made all these mistakes. But there's so much freedom and strength in that.
It's like you said, it's freedom and strength and weakness, and it's like you don't know it as the weak guy, but it's like, man, somebody, it ain't me. I'm weak. Is being the rock, the strength, and that's God. So I agree with that for sure.
And it's like this. We have this opportunity because I think before Emmanuel and I came along, before Nara came along, there were men at some point in the church setting that appeared to be holier than thou, and they have made it so hard for me to go up to someone and be like, I'm Pastor Russell, you should come to our church. I read a study the other day that over 68% of people in the United States don't trust pastors. 32% trusted.
So you don't even leave. I'm Russell.
I think that was the number, but it was I was in the category with lawyers, people that you would be are maybe kind of shady.
Accountants sit?
I think y'all were down there too, but because y'all just get caught up into
people don't like us because we find the problems.
Yeah, y'all are trying to get our money, boy. But I saw that. So that's like people came before us that have set that precedent.
Yeah.
And so when you immediately say you're a pastor, like people think, oh, money, this, he's crazy, you know, whatever. So every time I get a chance, I try to just be regular guy pastor. You know, like when I go to these funeral homes and I did one last week. People don't have a church. They call me. We'll go serve them and bring Jesus. Like I just try to be regular. Yeah. Because they have experienced like so much that's not regular. When I go, they're like, "Oh, you're like a regular guy," and I'm like, "Thank you, yes, thank you." Yeah. You know, so I don't know. I think the more we do that and show people it can be part of your regular life. You don't have to be the extreme. You just love Jesus, then that's like
it is possible.
It will help. Yeah, it will help. And so I think that's why God has us here right now. I really do. You can't get more basic than us. I mean, there's no one on our staff that is like thinks they're like the prima donna, got it to get. Oh, I've done this for this many years and I got it. We're all like, Jesus, you either have to make this Sunday happen,
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah, or it's not. It's not happening. Yeah. Like I told you, like I didn't know if I said it, but like last Sunday I was struggling with getting the message. Some Sundays are like that. Like I came here 3 or 4 times trying to put something on paper, and every time I came here, I would either get distracted or whatever. It just wasn't coming out, and so it came out last minute. And so I wasn't joking when I got on stage. Like, hey, this is what God said to say. Either it's going to be good or not. I don't know. Yeah. So, and I don't know how people took it. I didn't get things back either way, so that's a good thing. Right. Yeah. You know. So it's fine. No one got up and always say no one got up and walked out. So. That was good.
God was working. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I love when the Holy Spirit puts something on someone's heart, they bring it to me, and then God affirms it that morning. Like a deacon came to me earlier in the week and said, hey, I feel like we should have another one of those moments where we bring everyone up. I just feel like there's a lot of things happening in people's lives. And he gave a story of when he was a kid. He remembered them all doing that. And he remembered just thinking, wow, like all these people really believe in prayer. And like it impressed him at like 9 years old, he said. And so 2 interesting things. 1, he wasn't here Sunday, but whatever. 2, there was like 20 people that came up to me Sunday and said, hey, this is going on, or I know you heard about this, but you know, praise God for that. So it really was a lot of that. So his intuition was spot on. Yeah. And then so when we brought everybody up, and then like Sandy and Katrina being able to just play a song that they weren't even thinking of, I knew they could do it, but it was still like, it's still pressure.
It was the perfect song, by the way.
Yeah, it was still pressure. Of course it was. That's why I picked it. So it's still pressure.
You picked the song? Wait a minute. You said, hold on.
I hadn't known.
I mean, so that's why I told him, hey, sing this song. Yeah. I mean, I can set a mood.
Credit taken.
I can set a moody, man.
That's fine with me.
I was giving her the credit.
I don't want it.
But we're in together.
Yeah,
like if she couldn't have sung the song or played the song, then my idea was nothing. So that was God making it happen. For sure. Yeah, I felt like they know this song. Let's make this. You were asking before we started, Star, like when y'all were planning this, what were y'all trying to go for? As I was sitting there and I don't think that it's like us planning it. I feel like the Holy Spirit was saying, okay, in this moment, this song would do this. Yeah. And we're not trying to ever, like you said, play with people's emotions, but you are trying to get people to a place where it's like, okay, hold on. Like, what's happening in this moment? Is this a God thing? Like,
get you to feel it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's some feeling in everything we do. And so I feel like God is doing those things.
I can agree.
And so in the midst of that, I'm encouraged, you know, like super encouraged by that. I don't care about finances. I don't care about numbers. It all does matter, and it all, like, at the end of the day, we have to make those things balance. But I just have faith that God will do whatever he's going to do with it and lead me to make whatever decisions I have to make sure we stay there. And it's like, okay, how do you do that? I don't know. But God doesn't.
Continue to love God and trust him. I mean, that's
it's just God is just a humorous God. Like he just has humor, and he can make you do things that you can't do, and it's just it's really a cool ride. And
that's exactly what it is. Cool. It's a ride.
It's just a ride, and so you can't get too high or too low. You gotta stay pretty steady.
Even kill.
Anything else, Miss Sandy? No, you're pretty chill tonight. I mean, just having a chill week then, huh? It's just like
I guess so.
Nothing exciting coming up in February.
There's the
pickleball tournament coming up.
And it's bingo night.
Bingo.
It's happening.
That's a big night.
Put it on your calendar.
It's a fun night. People enjoy bingo way more.
But people love bingo.
I think it's just something you can win. Like people love winning.
People like competition.
People like winning. And if you can win without having,
there's a reason why I said I'd rather be a host.
If you can win without giving much effort too, that's even better. All you gotta do is like lay out.
Yeah, that is true.
Winner. You feel that?
The most effort they got to do is yell, "Hey, bingo!" That's all they got to do. But
a lot of cool stuff.
That's awesome.
So pickleball tournament.
Yeah.
And open gym is starting back too.
Yeah.
That we were just talking about.
About to kick that back in February. So 25th.
Big February.
Yeah, February.
February's packed in.
Yep. February.
Sweet. Looking
All
forward
good
to it.
things.
Nice.
All good things. What's up with you? You're going to. When are you heading out?
I leave Thursday, but I will still be on the clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Job know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to know.
I didn't know if you were logging in via Wi-Fi.
I'll just
and
give
like,
you some context. We're not supposed to be on PTO. I put this time in well in advance. But my manager was like, well, our policy says we're not. But I get it. It'd be wrong for me to like, hey, you can't go anymore.
Yeah.
Because originally it was for a wedding. That's not happening anymore, but that's another story.
Gotcha.
But they were like, no PTO during January, pretty much through April.
Peak season.
Which is, busy season. I'm like, well, I'm just not going to say I got this time. And I just told my manager, like, yeah, that's cool, good. Just do your work. But kids, just don't put PTO until the end of the vacation. So if I do work, I can still get that billable hours. But other than that, I mean, busy season, taxes are what they do, you know. It's a never-ending cycle, which we all go through. But other than that, no complaints. Living life,
Facts.
enjoying it.
Good.
So.
Prayers for the fam. Got some.
I got some stuff going on, but nothing new.
Nothing new. I told your mom the other day that there's God that's just like there's certain people, her and others that have been dealing with this for so long.
Yeah.
That I feel like their faith is just so strong.
Yeah.
It's just so strong. What else can it be? Like when someone has a chronic illness, I guess you would say, and it's just like you're in and out of the hospital from time to time. As the spouse of that person, your faith has to just be okay, God, yeah. I mean, because you would drive yourself crazy if it wasn't.
No, I give a lot of credit to my mom. She is a very strong woman. I come from a household of a lot of women, of strong women, but I mean, just seeing what my dad go through, and then her as the spouse have to go through, I'm like, man, I pray I find me one that strong, because I know it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of women out there like, you sick? I ain't sick.
Don't put that on a lot of.
I'm not saying a lot of women,
man.
There's a lot of worldly women. It was like, well, I mean,
we're looking for those precious jewels,
right.
man. Yeah,
this man's supposed to take care of me. Now it's the other way around, and it can be hard. But I give a lot of credit to her. That takes, like you said.
We're not looking for the glass. We're looking for
we're looking for the diamonds out here. You feel me? No glass.
Whatever.
I love it. Yeah,
no, but
so we're praying for the fam. Yep, that's going on. Yes, sir.
We appreciate all the prayers.
Yep. I'm sure you. We have some people in church that were going through the car accident that was pretty serious last week. Yeah. She is all good. We'll be moved to like an inpatient facility this week, and we'll be bouncing back in school in no time, I'm sure. That's another family whose faith is like pushed to the limit. And I told them I'm encouraged every time I see you, because the fact that you smile and just keep going on is like, that's only God. Yeah, because there's so much going on. So we keep doing what we're doing. So yeah, please join us Sundays 10:45. Wednesday 6:30, like Sandy said, pickleball tournaments on our website. Newly going to be cleaned up website hopefully soon. Fresh look. That's what we're praying for. Join us in praying for that. Fresh updated website.
Sweet.
But we have a lot of things going on, so please join us. Easter is coming up very quickly. Email was
approaching.
Surprise, so that's coming up. Good Friday service. We would love to have you guys join us, your families. But until then, stay prayed up.
You know how we do it.
Till next time. Thank you.